You know, we get asked a lot, actually, that's not true. Every single time we get asked on every appointment, how much does it cost? That's the whole reason we're called out to the home. We understand that. Well, today I'd like to just give you some idea of what to expect. So there are certain costs that are inherent in every roof project. There's the tear off costs. In another video we talked about why we always tear off the old roof, why we never try to just go over it with a new roof. There's the tear off cost, the disposal, obviously the new roof materials, underlayment, the actual roofing itself, and then new flashings. We really try to never reuse any flashing on the roof. That's what goes bad the quickest, actually, and cause the most leaks. So you're really counting on something that is made out of metal. It's gonna rust, it's exposed to the elements. So we replace that every time. We replace obviously all the roofing. So the materials are one big factor. You know, what quality? Is it asphalt shingles? Is it tile? Is it metal? Is it a flat roof? Do we have to torch down? But also the labor. Is it easy to access? How steep is the roof? It does take quite a bit more time. It's not just because the guys complain about steep roofs. It actually does take quite a bit more time for safety. Safety rigging, but also step boards so that the guys can actually access it, not just for the new roof, but for tear off too, even for the underlayment. It takes quite a bit more time if it's a steep roof, so that increases the labor. How many cuts does the roof have, valleys and ridges, and do I have to have a lot of waste for not just the material, but it takes a lot longer to cut those. How many skylights do you have? How many, all those different pieces go into factor the total cost. And the point I'm getting at is we have a whole cost sheet with, I think, about 110 different line items just to figure out the cost for each individual roof, materials, labor, and all that. So when we come out to your house, we're not just guessing, we're not just assuming. And also we don't really pay attention to what other people are charging for their roofs. Their cost of doing business and the materials that they like to work with, they'd be easier or cheaper, doesn't affect the way that we put our resilient roofs out there. So we'll go over a few options. There's quite a few options, and you'll have a bunch of different costs and materials to pick from, but we're gonna give you our best roof. We're gonna warranty it. There's actually different warranty options too. You can have a lifetime, 50-year rated warranty that doesn't prorate. So at year 49, you're not getting 2% of the cost. You're getting the whole thing replaced if it needs to be replaced. And our guys can talk to you about that too. Another thing to think about is roofing terms. You'll hear a lot about roofing squares, or how many squares of roofing. Your roof has 30 squares, for instance. It has nothing to do with the square foot of the home. It has to do with the square footage of the actual roof itself. And a square of roofing is 100 square feet. So a 10 foot by 10 foot section of a roof, that's 1 square. But the reason we say square is just because it'd be harder to say, 3,000 square feet. We just say 30 squares, that's the same idea. So a 2,000 square foot house with a garage, all single level, is gonna be quite a bit more surface area of roofing if you count the overhang or some unlivable square footage, that, patio and that kind of thing that has roof over it, as opposed to say a 2-story, 2,000 square foot home with a garage that's underneath it, in one little cube. That's a lot less roof area. So it doesn't really matter so much the square footage of the home, but what we do is we measure the exact roofing area that we need to remove, and same thing with the materials that we include. Another thing to keep in mind, if you have other companies look at it, sometimes they'll take the exact roof amount and then they'll increase it for overage, for materials, and we do the same thing, but a lot of times they don't separate the labor. It doesn't cost any extra to install that waste, so we separate the two. So if you have 30 squares, based on that last example, we'll charge you for, depending on how cut up the roof is, between 2 and 6% more for the materials, but you're only charged 30 squares for the labor. I hope that makes sense. We can explain that more when we're talking to you about your roof. So thanks for listening. I hope that helped. For an exact roof price, of course, we'll have to come out and take a look at all those 110 factors like we talked about to give you an exact number on your roof, but we'd love to do it. That's what we do every day. Thank you.